Hey y'all. So today on Purpose and Prosper, we are getting into overthinking. All of my folks who love to overthink a situation, who love to overthink starting, who can plan, prepare, research to the ends of the earth, but still do not start the thing, hands in the air. Be honest, raise your hand if that's you. Then this show is for you. I'm going to give you practical tools to use immediately to get out of your head and get into the flow, get in the game, get the momentum so you can stop just thinking and start being about it. Okay? You about to be about it. About to be about it today, about whatever that thing is that you've been thinking about, whatever it is that you have been dreaming about, that vision. You are going to actually start it, okay? Or else I'm gonna give you the tools to do it, okay? But that is your homework, but we'll get to your homework a little bit later. First, let's talk about what overthinking actually looks like, just in case you were thinking like, oh, I don't think I do it that much, okay? Well, normally it's like procrastination disguised as productivity. Oh, guilty as charged, right? You will like find a million things to do to make yourself feel like you're busy, just so that you can avoid actually doing that hard thing, getting into what it is, the meat of it all, right? So you'll do everything like on the outskirts, on the boundaries of actually starting, but really getting into it. You do things to make yourself feel like you're actually going in the direction of getting it done, but in actuality, it's just busy work, okay? So like you're constantly researching, you're planning, and you're also seeking that input from people who probably can't give it to you. Why? Because either one, they've never done it, or even if they have, right? They know no matter what they say, it doesn't matter until you actually start doing it, because the only way to get better at something is to do it. You have to get that real world experience of doing the thing so that you can improve day after day, mistake after mistake, failure after failure. Now, a lot of times overthinking can come off as feeling overwhelmed by your choices, and the possible outcomes. So you literally will start thinking of all the ways that it won't work. Do I have a witness? Everything that could go wrong. That will consume you, okay? So much so that you will think yourself out of it. You'll say, you know what, I don't want to have to deal with that. That could happen, that could happen. We all know there's always multiple ways that something can go, but you will get locked in on the negative aspects because you're overthinking it, okay? But this the one right here, y'all. You're comparing what it is that you're about to do to someone else's results. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, and it's so natural. That is what we do naturally. We compare, but what do they say about comparison? It is the thief of joy. Comparing your step one or chapter one to someone else's chapter 40,000 is insane, but we do it just by nature because we see these amazing results that someone might have, and we're like, oh no, I can't do that tomorrow. Of course, because they didn't do it in a day. So you think because what you put out initially doesn't look like what you've seen someone else do who might be doing something similar, you feel like it's not good enough because, well, we do have this thing called social media where you could just see people's highlight reels. You see the glitz, the glamour, the glory of it all, but you don't see all the time the journey, the dirty, messy in-between part, building, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. And that is what we forget that we have to go through also. We're not omitted from that process. We look at someone else's end result that they have been able to produce and assume that we're supposed to just hit the jackpot on the first go round. And it absolutely does not work like that. Now, there are some tips and things that you can do that you can kind of, be ahead of the game by learning from others. But absolutely do not compare yourself. That is the number one thing you don't want to do. And for a lot of folks, that is what overthinking really just manifests as. Just continuing to say, well, what yours looks like versus what someone else's looks like. And we have to know everything we do is going to be different. Every journey is going to be different and every outcome is going to be different. So we have to just worry about our own and use others as inspiration. But absolutely, we cannot try to compare what someone has done over however long they've been doing it to what we are just trying to start or get into. And if we're being 100% honest, One of the number one things that overthinking really is rooted in is fear. The fear of whatever it is, the failure, the public humiliation that comes along with starting and trying something that doesn't go exactly the way that we hoped it would go or planned that it would go. Those things really are all bought up in fear, right? Not really activating the faith that we know we need to be activating to do it, and not think about what others might think, because really it doesn't matter. But knowing that if we stay faithful in the journey, if we do the thing and stop worrying about how the thing looks to others, that we will get there eventually. We'll get to that place where it finally is what we dreamed and hoped it would be, but we're scared. And that's the thing. The fear will literally paralyze us. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. I'm like, literally, you can't do anything. You're so worried about how it's going to look if it doesn't come out perfect that you won't do it. And that perfectionism, OMG, it literally is the worst. I am a recovered perfectionist. Let me be real, recovering. I'm consistently recovering every day, right? I love and need things to be a certain way, but guess what? They're not going to be. This podcast, it's not perfect, okay? You can't see it, but there's a million things going on around here that could be different, but guess what? With practice, I get improvement, not perfection. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvement, all right? The more I do it, the more you do the thing that you are trying to do, the better you'll get. Why? Because that experience breeds lessons, and you get to try and do new things differently. After you do a thing that may not work the way you thought it would, well, that is your kind of like your guidepost, right? Okay, this didn't work. But what can I do differently next time to add to that, to improve on that so that I can get a different result this time? But that fear will stop us. That perfectionism, that need for everything to look absolutely perfect, to be perfect, it lives rent-free in our minds. And really, it doesn't get to live rent-free, okay? Because everything costs, okay? You can't live rent-free in my head, especially not if you are not creating any rent money, okay? Literally, you can't live there. So let's kick fear out. Let's kick perfectionism out. Let's kick it out. Why? They are evicted because they couldn't pay the bills around here. That does not pay bills. Fear doesn't pay bills. Being scared does not pay bills. What pays bills is your faith, is your action, is you actually doing the things, okay? So kick them out. Kick them out right now. If you got to kick them out a little later, put all their stuff on the corner and just leave them there, okay? Leave it all there, okay? All right, so now we have some ideas of what overthinking looks like and can manifest as in our lives. It can be planning and preparing and researching relentlessly, right? Thinking that we're making progress, but in actuality, we're just finding busy work to do. It can be rooted in fear of failure, fear of not coming out or looking perfect the way we want to look, needing everything to be perfectly in step. And that's not the way it goes. There are ebbs and flows to everything, right? Highs and lows. You're going to have some days where everything goes great. And then the next day it could be like, what am I doing this for? Why am I here? But the point is that you keep pushing, you keep going, right? You don't just quit or you don't give up just because one day doesn't look like the other. That is a part of the process. So we understand the overthinking, how it can look. Also that comparison, we talked about that, how comparing yourself can really be one of the things that can cause you to just not do what it is that you really know you have that vision and that calling to do. All right. So let me give you 3 ways to break free. Break them chains, okay? Break them off. Let them fall to the ground. Break free of that overthinking, of that procrastination, of that comparison, of that fear and that doubt. We are breaking free of that today, okay? So, tool number 1. Well, this is really your homework, okay? Number 1, assignment number 1, pick one bold move this week. And I am not talking about the thinking about making it. I'm talking about really, really setting a date, intention, okay? A SMART goal. I am a life coach, and this is what we do. We make SMART goals. I want you to do this. You, without fear, don't think about what anybody else has to say. Do it. And there's no such thing as too small. Okay. This is about actually just doing the thing that you know that you are called to do, that you have the vision to do. I want you to take a step. I don't care if it's the babyest of steps, but it has to not be doing any more Google searches, no more TikTok searches and Instagram searches. I want you to actually do it. Okay. For many of you, you're ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship. You know you have a story, you've got the experience, you've got skills, and you're ready to package that and create additional streams of income for yourself. You've been stuck in that hamster wheel of research and just like information overload. I want you to go to robinsadler.com, go to my site and get my free resource, the Success Habit System. Okay. This is going to give you daily habits that will help you build consistency and confidence. Okay. And it will give you markers, literally a planner for you to go day by day. Break your day down so that you can be productive and not just in the mix of busy work. Okay. Go there. It's completely free. robinsadler.com. Download the Success Habit System so that you can get those tools that can help you move through the day more effectively. And that's the key, because a lot of times, like I said, that busy work makes us think that we're being productive when we are absolutely not. So we've got to start doing things that specifically will help us move the needle forward. It's about getting that momentum, getting into the flow really of doing it. And you don't know what that flow feels like until you actually start doing the thing. So homework assignment number 2. I want you to ask better questions. Shift it from what if it fails to what if this changes everything? Come on, somebody. What if this changes my life? What if this takes me from being in this place of lack, of being in this place of debt, to literally putting me in a place of consistent profit? Think about that. There's always ways, well, 2 ways to look at the glass. You've heard that before. Half full or half empty? What if it was half full and not half empty? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself instead of those things, those negative things like, what if I look like this? Or what if they don't receive me well? Or what if nobody buys it? Or what if nobody wants to be involved? What if they do though? Or what if when one person does, even if it's just one, that person is enough to spark it in other people, right? It has to start somewhere. But most importantly, it has to start with you, in your mind and in your heart. You have to believe, you have to know that if God gave you that vision, I'm going to say this over and over in so many of my shows, that you have to trust and have the faith to push forward in it. And that is what I'm here to give you the tools to do. Pushing forward in faith, knowing that it is not by accident that you continuously have these dreams of doing this thing that you have been working on in your mind, mind you, but you just haven't actually done it, right? It might be because, of time constraints. You're telling yourself, I don't have the tools, the resources. I don't have the help. Guess what? There's somebody who is in a worse position than you right now, who did 3,000 times more with less. I'm going to say that again. There's somebody who is in a worse position than you, who did even more with less. Think about that. Every time you tell yourself what you cannot do, know that there's somebody who has done it with less. Okay? They have done it with less resources. They've done it with less experience. And you're sitting on literally a treasure trove and you are afraid to actually activate it. Okay? So ask those questions of yourself. This is for you to speak to yourself, speak over yourself. Tell yourself, guess what, self? I no longer will speak failure. Okay, over my life and over my ideas and over my goals. I'm going to speak life into them. What if this is that thing that is not only life-changing, but generational changing? What if the idea, that business that you start, that program that you start, that digital product that you drop is literally the catalyst for changing generations to come in your family? All because you stepped out on faith, stopped overthinking, and started doing. It doesn't matter if it works out on the first try. That is not what we are here to do. We are here to just start. That is the key, starting. Guess what? To start somewhere. Everybody we look at, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. Beyonce had to start somewhere. Okay. Everybody had to start somewhere. But guess what they kept doing? Even after they failed, they tried again. They fell down, they got back up, and they tried again. There is not one person that is successful that has not failed. There is not one. You will not find one. I promise you that. Not one. And you won't be the first. You're going to fail as well, but guess what your failures will do? Your failures will teach you. Am I saying it right? Your failures will teach you what and how to move moving forward. And that's the best type of lesson, right? Is that learned and that experience, okay? That is what people can't tell you about. That is what the teachers can't teach you. I don't care how many degrees you have. Until you get into the field, you don't have the experience. You'll see that on the applications, right? You can have all the degrees, but guess what they're going to ask first? How many years of experience do you have? Yeah. Guess why? The experience trumps the paper, the degree. That experience will always trump that, which is why you starting to do it will be your currency. That experience will be what you're able to use to take you to the next level. All right. So that was number 2. You ask yourself better questions. Get curious instead of being critical. Stop being so critical. Ask the questions that can open doors, not criticizing it with your thoughts that will automatically close them before you even knocked. Child, you ain't even knocked talking about they won't let me in. Did you even go to the door? and didn't. And you know you didn't because you was too scary. Go to the door. Matter of fact, if there's no door there, ask God to create one. And guess what? Bust through that, baby. That's what we're on right now, okay? We're not waiting on anybody else to tell us that we can do it. We're not waiting on anyone to open the door. Guess what we're doing? We're walking through the door without permission. And we're going to talk about that in the next podcast episode. But let me finish these tools. Now, here's your third tool, and this might be the most important of all 3. Creating a sacred space for clarity. And how do you do that? By praying, by meditating, by journaling, really intentionally getting in that quiet space, that place where you're not even trying to figure it out by yourself because you know that you are talking to God and He is giving you those downloads. This is where you really get that clarity of thought process, of mind, of plan, right? When you sit down and you write it all out, let those ideas, let those dreams, let it just bleed out onto the paper. Write about it, then pray about it. And then get quiet and listen to God and wait to see what He has to say about it. Because the goal is to be in alignment. I know a lot of times we have these dreams and these things that we want to do and we haven't even checked. And I'm talking about checking in with the big homie. I'm talking about God. We haven't even checked to see if that was what He even wanted us to do. We got these things where we want to do them, but we don't even know if that's even our calling. We're trying to do somebody else's calling because it looked cute, because it looked like they made him a couple of dollars, but it's not our calling. It's not what our assignment ever was to start with. And that is why we can't get far in it. But when we stop and say, God, wait, what is it that you want me to do? You order my steps. You align my plans. I don't want to do it myself. You tell me who you created me to be, baby. Now that's when those answers start coming. That is when that clarity that is crystal clear comes through and you can start moving with a confidence and a boldness that you never knew you had. Why? Because you're not doing that alone. You're moving with a confidence and spirit, okay? So I want you to do those 3 things. You pick a bold move to make this week. You can download my Success Habit System on robinsadler.com if you are seeking to get off into your entrepreneurial journey, or even if you have started, if you're trying to find better habits and better ways to be more productive, not just doing busy work, but actually planning your day out and creating those habits, those things that you can do over and over that give results, not just fake busy work. Okay. You can do that there, asking yourself better questions. No more asking, what if it doesn't work? What if they look at me funny? What if they don't accept me? What if I'm not welcomed? Or what if no one buys? What if they love it? What if this is the thing that they always needed and I just provided it to them? What if my solution was the answer to their problem? And that is the question that you have to ask to give you that boost to know, guess what? it really can be that and not the other thing. It really can be a life-changing decision that I'm making and not one that's going to end it. And let's get even more clear about that, even if it doesn't work out. On to the next. What Jay-Z say? On to the next one. What? And what? And so what? I'm going to do something else if this didn't work out or if that doesn't work out. Always in your mind, no, it's not the end all be all. It just means, guess what? It wasn't the time for that. But you did do it and you learned from it, all right? So ask those questions with a positive spirit, with an expectancy in your spirit to know that, guess what? I know this is going to do something better. This can do something better. Doesn't have to be what if it doesn't work. And lastly, like I said, the most important one, creating the space. Oh, glory. Creating that sacred space to give your attention to your creator. Asking him the questions, asking him to guide you, to tell you what to do next, giving him your full attention, writing out what you get, writing out those downloads, those dreams, that vision that comes to you, put it on paper and then go through it, because guess what? You'll be able to go back and read that. And thank God for those answered prayers that you will now be living in. You will be living the prayers that you prayed when you stay consistent in it and ask for that alignment and ask for God to order the steps and lay out the plan and the path for you to walk in. So I hope you understand from all of this that you do not have the next 5-10 steps figured out. No, you don't. But you do have to have that faith to take that first step. Just do that thing. Just start it with that bold decision, that decision that I can't make a thing. I can't make a change, can't make a dollar with this idea unless I put the idea to work, unless I actually start moving with it. And clarity comes from movement, not over analysis or overthinking. You literally get the answers to a lot of the questions that you have from like not knowing how to do it by actually doing it. Cause you're like, oh, that's why that wasn't going to work. Cause I tried it and that didn't work. And that's why that did work, because I tried that and that did work. So getting into the movement of it, finding your flow, even when they're ebbs, because they're going to be ebbs and flows, right? It doesn't mean that it's time to stop. It just means it's time to refocus, redirect, right? That's what happens once you finally take that step and start moving instead of thinking. So for all of my doers and my change makers out there who are ready to really, really, really get to that thing that they have been dreaming about and praying about, okay, I want you to take a picture, a screenshot of that thing that you do, that bold move that you make, whatever it might be. I don't care if it's you signing up for a class or a course, going to my website, downloading that free resource, whatever that is, take a screenshot and send it to me at the Robin Sadler, the ROBIN SADLER. I want to see who's really about it. I said that earlier. We are about it right now. We are not overthinking. We are not letting doubt and fear have any more dominion in our lives. Right now, it's about us letting God have dominion and letting our faith be louder than our fear. And we are doing it even when we are unsure. We're doing it even when we are scared. Why? Because we're not doing it alone. We got, like I said, the big homie. God is doing it with us, so we don't have to be afraid. What we are doing right now is God work. What you are working on is God work. What the vision is that you have been just sitting on, that's God vision. And you have to be bold enough to trust that if he gave it to you, he's going to make a way for you to make it happen as long as you take the first step. All right, y'all. Don't forget to leave a review for me. Give me a rating. Please share this podcast with your friends and your family, whoever you feel would be able to benefit from it. This, like I said, is the beginning of our beautiful journey together on the Purpose and Prosper podcast. And of course, make sure you're tuned in every Tuesday. I'll be dropping new episodes and probably some bonus episodes in between. So make sure you stay locked in with it. Subscribe, all that good stuff that you do with the podcast. I so appreciate you being here. Have a blessed one. Love you. Mwah.